Nothing.
Because,
I mean, they made their choice. They're literal Nazis. You know, why should they have a right to continue to govern?
Because what it feels when you see the meeting that Donald Trump had with Europeans together with Zelensky, it seems that they're somehow trying to remove Russia from the scene in terms of providing security guarantees, which I argue that Russia is the most important player in that term. If they want something substantial for Ukraine, Russia has to be part of the discussion. Russia has to be part of that agreement. But it doesn't seem that comes, even Donald Trump, when he's talking about putting troops on the ground, because after the meeting with Vladimir Putin, it's somehow so much unbelievable. You cannot believe that the president of the United States talking this way.
Again, I think we just have to stop talking about Europe. They don't matter.
But they're there, Scott. After all,
they aren't there. They're not there. What's there? The French army doesn't exist. The British army doesn't exist. The German army doesn't exist. What is Europe? A dysfunctional economy that's collapsing as we speak. No defense industry worthy of the name. Europe isn't there. To be there, you've got to be there physically. You got to be able to do something. They can't even poop out 30,000 troops for a peacekeeping force. That's the number they came up with, and then suddenly they go, oh, we don't have enough. Can't do it. There is no Europe. It exists in the mind of Donald Trump alone. Russia doesn't care about Europe. Russia doesn't consider them at all. They are nothing. Russia doesn't wake up in the morning and go, oh, we have to really worry about the Europeans. They're irrelevant. They made themselves irrelevant. Economically? No. I mean, they're still pathetic. They still buy their energy from Russia. They still buy their energy from Russia. They just lie about it. They lie about it. They get it from the Indians. They get it from the Turks. No one talks about Turk Stream. You know, sit there and blew up Nord Stream, but nobody talks about Turk Stream and how all that Russian gas is going through Turkey straight up into Southern Europe. No one talks about that. Europe is so full of you know what, it's not even funny. There is no Europe. We waste too much time talking about these people. They're the giant nothing burger. They will have nothing to do with any peace in Ukraine. Nothing. Trump gives them the time of day. Russia doesn't. Do you see Russia worrying about Europe? No. They'll talk to Donald Trump. They won't talk to Europe. Why? What's in it for Russia? What does France have to offer? Russian food's better. I know. I just ate a whole bunch of it. You know, Russia's a cleaner place. You know, Paris is just a filthy cesspool of a city nowadays. Moscow, clean. You can go to any third-tier Russian city. It's cleaner and more modern than anything Paris has to offer. Why do people think the Russians need Europe or want Europe or care about Europe? They used to, but Europe divorced Russia. It's not the other way around. Russia didn't walk away from Europe. Europe walked away from Russia. And Russia's moved on. So we spend far too much time talking about Europe. If the second somebody says British troops are, where are they coming from? Name the unit. Name the unit. Can't, can you? You don't even know what unit's going to deploy over there. How many tanks do they have? Not that many. Can they logistically sustain them? Do they have the heavy transport capability to move these tanks from their barracks in England to where are they going to go? You're going to go overland into Romania? You're going to come in by ship? And then in Romania, you're going to set up a big logistics base there? With what troops? With the Great British Logistic Expeditionary Force? You know, and then what? Now you're going to project them into Ukraine. Over what line of communication? And when they get there, what's the rotation thing? Is this a 6-month tour? So you got to be careful here, you're Britain, because you don't have enough troops. Because let's say you put 5,000 in, that means you need at least 15,000 committed to the mission. That's most of your army, because you're pathetic and you're small and you're stupid and you're useless and you're meaningless and you haven't trained and your guys are fat. And then we get to the French. What French troops are going to go? They had to cannibalize everything just to get this expeditionary battalion sent to Romania now. Now they want to turn into a brigade? With what troops? With what equipment? How do you sustain it? They did a major logistics exercise a couple years ago. It capped out, I think, at 12,500 is the maximum troop flow that France is capable of putting through right now. Logistics is a big deal. How do you get troops from A to B? And then how do you sustain them? Because, when troops show up, they need food, a lot of it. They eat. They need electricity. Where are your generators? Where's the fuel? Where's the trucks to transport the fuel? Where's the spare tires? What happens when these trucks start breaking down? Do you have a mobile maintenance team? Where's it? Can it deploy? French can't do any of this. None of it. Nobody can but us, America. We're the only ones capable of doing any of these things out of NATO.